What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's Late Night Agenda. And look, I gotta start this with a trigger warning. I'm coming in hot today because I'm pretty riled up by some of the nonsense that I heard a manager speak once again. There's been so much contradictory waffle that's been put out there, both from the manager and from some of the pundits, and I just want to have my say on it tonight because I'm not happy. Arne Slot's press conference was just more nonsense from me. The double speak from the media is doing my head in. I'm sick of people saying the records aren't good enough, the performances aren't good enough, the players aren't good enough, but the manager, we can't be talking about sacking him. Let's get it straight. He should be fired. There should be no debate around it. And I'm going to give you why I'm so annoyed tonight over the course of the next 90 minutes. And as always, I do want to know your thoughts, so let me know. But I'm going to get straight into why I'm annoyed, because I really am. When you're reading the notes of the manager's press conference and you're actually shouting out loud, fuck right off, you know something's wrong. You know you're riled up and annoyed by it. And tonight, I wanted to just let you guys know straight away what we're going to be discussing. And that is the absolute waffle that is coming out of our football club. The doublespeak, the contradictory terms, the whole lot of it. I'm fed up and I want to have my say. So, strap yourselves in. It's going to get emotional tonight, but again, I hope you understand where I'm coming from. So let me read you through some of the notes from Arne's press conference, and I'll tell you why I think it's absolute nonsense. So, speaking about whether he thinks we are being lacking of fight, whether we're lacking fight, this is what he had to say. And over the course of this little paragraph, he contradicts himself straight away. So, are we losing fight? Do we not have enough fight, was the question to Arne. And he said, no, we haven't. We haven't been lacking in fight. The last game, we had 75% of the ball, but we lost too many duels. So we're not lacking in fight, but we lost too many duels. Make that make sense. Please, God, make that make sense. The manager coming out and saying, no, we're not lacking in fight, but we're losing too many duels. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, my man. He said, we haven't. In moments of games, we've lost too many duels. Really? No shit, Sherlock. In the last game, we had 75% possession, and in and around our box, we only had to defend 4 times. Yeah, but we conceded 3 goals, dude. We conceded 3 goals. Might only had to defend 4 times, but we conceded 3 times. He goes on to say, the first was a set piece, the second Forest goal was incorrectly disallowed for me, and the third time it was 2-0. He's not wrong about the other one being disallowed incorrectly. It should have stood. Some of the stuff he's come out with is crazy. So speaking about the season, our own manager, the man under pressure, is admitting this. It's ridiculous. It's unbelievable. I've said many times you'll never find enough excuses for us to perform like this. It's unexpected for the club, for me, and for everyone. But this is maybe the best club to face it. The harder it gets, the more we are together. No, mate, it's getting to the realms of delusion at this point. Because like I said the other day, find me any example of how we're getting better. Just any. Outside of the 2 games that we thought he turned the tide with, which were against Real Madrid and Aston Villa. And now it's gone backwards. The difference between this season and last season, he was asked in the press conference, we're conceding more goals than last season. Fucking genius stuff, this. The last time we conceded 0 set pieces, and now it's 9. This time last year, we conceded 0 set pieces, and now it's 9. 9 set piece goals we've conceded. The number of goals is close to ridiculous. It's not close, Arne. It is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And some of the takes from the media, they just yes men. So much bullshit. It's absolute nonsensical, lads. I'm done with it. I'm sick of seeing these people come on and talk shite. As if there are no standards at Liverpool Football Club. They'll spend 5 minutes slating the manager and then finish with a sentence of, but I don't want them fired. Or any talk of them being fired is ridiculous. You've just spent 5 minutes picking the holes in everything we've done wrong this season. And then come out with, well, we can't fire the manager yet. Why? Why? It's an absolute shit show. And weirdly, if this was in our first season, I'd understand it a lot more. But this is us after he's bedded in for a year and put his own stamp on the team. And we're going backwards. It's not 1 or 2 games in now. We're 14 or 15 games all into the season. He's thrown away a League Cup. We just have no accountability at the minute, and it's really frustrating because all we keep hearing is that sources at the club are being told that everybody behind the scenes is calm and everybody expected this. No, the fuck they didn't. No, they did not. Nobody expected this, and any of you absolute fucking clowns that are trying to say it's expected are just yes men and liars. Absolute nonsense, the lot of it. We all heard what was expected in the summer when the money was spent. There was talk of domination. There was talk of building a team for the next 5-6 years that will wipe through everybody. And now that we're in the bottom half of the league and are an absolute clown show, it's revisionism personified, and it's not good enough. It's just not good enough. We deserve better. Fans deserve better. It's not good enough. Michael, it's an absolute delusion to say that in his press conference. Every single word he said today, the manager we should be getting to try get back into the league, get this team going. It's just a joke. It is a joke. If this was last year and it was his first year, that's different. You'd understand it then. But it isn't. This is a manager who's been to the top. Did you hear what Paul Scholes had to say? Because it's not very often you're going to get me agreeing with ex-Manchester United legends. But he said this, and I can't deny any word of it. He said, I think this started towards the end of last season. Do you remember when they won the league? The bad form started. They went away. They went to Ibiza or something. Arne Slot was DJing. Honestly, DJing in Ibiza. I think that's disrespectful that before the season's done, I think it's classless. And he ain't wrong, is he? The manager's over there in Ibiza before the season's even done. And hanging around with Wayne Lineker in itself should have been a fucking fireable offence. Just even being in a photo with him should have been a fireable offence. Enough, lads. And this is the lad again who goes off to Dubai during the October break. What do you need a break from? In October, the season's only started and you need a break. Need a break. I don't care if it was pre-planned. The optics of it are awful. Awful. It's just one shit show after another. Liverpool aren't a club that necessarily want to go and sack managers. No shit, Sherlock. Nobody does. But we're either a club with standards or we don't. There's nothing in the data to suggest it's going to change. There's nothing in the performances to suggest it's going to change. Nothing. All we're hoping for here is vibes. That's it. Vibes might turn it round. The players have down tools. It's clear. Stop wasting time and try and save this season quickly. Arne has to go. It's as simple as that. I'm not saying he can't turn it around. What I'm saying is he shouldn't be given the time to turn it around. Because what he's done already is disgraceful this season. There's no excuse for it. He's even said it himself. It's ridiculous and it's an embarrassment. So yeah, as I said, I'm coming in hot tonight. So bear with me. But I'm not happy with it. And every day that goes by, it's more double speak. Well, the club are confident things will turn around. Based on what? Truly. Based on what? Because I've yet to see one pundit, one journalist, one person give a tangible reason as to why it's turning or why it may turn. I can't find one. Let's not remember here. We just got beaten 3-0 twice, home and away, with 2 weeks in between. We are 12th. 12th. It's just shocking. And it's just, I don't know. Like, how are we to have any credibility? We're looking at pundits and journalists around Liverpool who are trying to make excuses for this, who are trying to say this is acceptable. It's absolutely not. In no way is this acceptable. And in no way should there be enough goodwill from last season's title win. Last season's last season. It's done. This season is the here and now. And in the here and now, we're a laughingstock. And there's one thing that Jamie Carragher said that really has stuck with me. Because he's not wrong. I'm going to find you the quote. One sec. Is this one? No. So Jamie Carragher said this, and I think he's not wrong. I must say, some of the people I spoke to after the Forest game, fans, friends, family, and how they spoke about Slot shocked me a little bit. I have the feeling that he doesn't have the unconditional love and support that Jurgen Klopp always had. Because he doesn't. Because he isn't Jurgen Klopp. Because he hasn't made that connection in the same way Jurgen Klopp has. And that really opened my eyes to how far away Carragher actually is. Because if he's surprised that, as he said, fans, friends and family are speaking negatively about Slot, does that not tell him something? That the common man, the regular Joe, the match-going fan, is fed up of the dross that Arne is slopping out week after week. These people are just shown once again that they're so far removed from the fans, it's crazy. You know, I know they have to interview managers and players, so I know that they can't really be as blunt or as honest as they'd want to be. But come on. It's really clear. He's lost the backing of so many of the fans. And it's his own doing. Because he took a system, pulled it apart, and has turned us into an absolute joke. And I'm heartbroken with it. I'm absolutely heartbroken that we're looking like we're going to have to put up with this a little bit longer. Just in case he can turn it round. In case. Michael said it's hard to take as a Liverpool fan where we've gone from champions to being a laughingstock. Fans are cheeky if they want January signings, just spend 446 million. See, that's the mad thing is, we did spend that and we still have holes in our squad. And it's crazy. It's crazy because you're right. On the face of it, it sounds mad to even dare talk about January signings. But we need them. We need them and we need them quickly. If you beat PSV, will you think it will change anything? So I can only give you my opinion, Ty. And to me, no. Because look, we should be giving PSG a whooping regardless. Any version of Liverpool that has that about them should be going out there and getting PSV taken care of nice and quickly. Even West Ham away. Anything other than, let's be honest about this, 5 wins in a row now. Anything other than that's not good enough. Look at the fixtures that we have. We've went through them before. It's some version of PSV Eindhoven, West Ham, Leeds, Sunderland, Brighton, Inter Milan. Something like that. Bar the Inter Milan away game, which granted is tough. The rest of them, it's got to be maximum points or nothing. But here's the thing. There's no indication that this is turning. There's no indication that the manager has figured it out or is likely to figure it out. He keeps doing the same things. That meme guy said if Liverpool win against PSV, which we should, I'm not praising them or slot because we need to see it in the Premier League. Exactly. Bread and butter stuff. Premier League. This may sound bad, but I want us to lose to PSV. If we win big, it'll mask the deep problems with Slot and the delay in sacking that we need. It won't matter to me. It won't matter to me what he does against PSV because the damage has been done now. And here's why I'm so adamant. He's had natural breaks, and I've spoken about this so much. He's had natural breaks where he can find time to fix this. Now, he can't maybe work on the training ground with the lads as much as he'd want, but he's 2 weeks to prepare for a shit United and 2 weeks to prepare for a bang average Nottingham Forest. And both times he's been outwitted, both times we've been beaten, and both times it's been an embarrassment. Look at how bad United were. They lost yesterday to a 10-man Everton. But they came to Anfield, and beat us. And I was there. It was fairly comfortable. It's absolute nonsense. Can you remember the last time I saw fans leaving early? Not really. No. You know, sometimes you'll get fans leaving occasionally a bit early if the game's done and dusted, you've won it, you're 3 up. They might leave with a couple of minutes left to beat traffic or something. I don't know. But like I said, I've spoken to so many people who were at that game at the weekend, and it really feels like this was a turning point for a lot of people. Because we went into the international break, obviously on the back of a 3-0 loss to Man City. And you think to yourself, okay, that's bad, but it can't get much worse than that. Was that a blip because we played so well against Villa and Real Madrid? And then you get the definitive answer after the November break. No, it wasn't a blip because we went out at home, and were beaten 3-0 by Nottingham Forest. 3-0. Stevie Boy said, giving more money to the manager, my God. Asking for trouble, can't get the best of the players we bought in the summer. So here's what I'm asking. I'm now starting to wonder, is there egos involved in this? And are Messrs Hughes and Edwards afraid to hold their hands up and say that this was wrong? Now, I don't know. I'm just trying to put together the pieces to figure out why on earth they haven't fired him. Because, I can't reiterate this strongly enough. I don't want to be saying what I'm saying now. I don't want to be. I've never got to this point with a coach before, ever. But my God, he's done nothing this season to throw us back in the right direction. Nothing. Brad said, no disrespect to our upcoming opponents, but those are teams we need to be turning inside out. Not rolling over the same crap week in and week out. So, Brad, for some of the pundits and media I've been looking at and journalists, there's been a lot of, well, it needs to stop now, and then we lose another one. And then there's more of, it needs to stop now, and then we lose another one. And then it'll be, well, it can't go on forever. But it is. It's going on and on and on. And still people are like, well, there's credit in the bank. No, there isn't. There's no fucking credit in the bank. You spent 450 million quid. There was no expectation of a season of transition. The shite they're trying to put out there now. I'm not buying it. I'm not swallowing it. It's nonsense. Adam said, I'm definitely in the minority, but I'm slot in. And mate, I respect your opinion. I don't know how you're still there, but I respect it. That's okay. You don't have to agree with me on this, my man. I'm just getting to the point where it seems like there's one excuse trotted out after another. And none of them are valid. PSV beat us last year. They did. But we sent over a garbage team, basically. And do you know what? The irony of that, by the way, him throwing that game against PSV last year, the irony of that is that's what fucked us. That's what gave us Paris Saint-Germain. If we had have gone over there and drawn or beaten PSV Eindhoven, we don't get Paris Saint-Germain in the knockout stages of the Champions League. So how many times do we have to see a manager basically jibbing off a game and they have a knock-on impact? He was so arrogant that he stuck out an absolute third-string squad for the League Cup game. Stuck it out. Are we too good now for a trophy? Is that it? Our form is so bad and you think, let's throw away another competition and that'll turn things around. It's just one stupid decision after another. No, you're wrong. Tell me why I'm wrong. No, you're wrong means nothing, dude. Nothing. Tell me why I'm wrong or shut the fuck up. One or the other. Craig, never heard Slot come up with excuses, never heard Slot come up with solutions, just excuses, and the obvious we need to do better. Exactly, even today. He just goes on about how unacceptable it is and stuff. We know that, dude. We're living it. So Romano said, at this stage, the situation is under control. The fuck it is! Under how? Under control how? It's complicated and difficult. It's an emergency situation. So it was under control 1 sentence ago. 1 sentence ago, it was under control. And now it's an emergency situation. This is the type of double-speak nonsense I'm talking about. Liverpool internally are discussing about the manager, the staff, but it's not just Arna, it's also the players. And look, that's fair. The players should not escape criticism from this. But ultimately, there's a reason they're not performing. There's a reason that they're not going out there and playing as they should. And it's the manager. Because he's clearly unable to motivate them. This piece from Footy Insider, I think, is absolute nonsense, by the way. And it said, Arne Slot is under pressure from Liverpool's owners to start Isak. Now, you know my relationship with FSG over the years hasn't been great. But there isn't one fibre of my body that feels they're going to put pressure on the manager to play a player that isn't ready yet. Not one. You know, I'll defend FSG like anybody else when I think they need defending. And that piece from Footy Insider, I'm saying, is absolute garbage. But I'm going to ask you if you think it's the case. So let me just ask this as a poll question. Right, so do you think FSG are forcing Slot to play Isak? I don't. Not for 1 second do I think they're doing that. If this was Slot's 5 years and he'd won trophies the previous 4 years, then he'd have his grace. But not after 1 year. Exactly. Exactly. Because here's the thing, Mulder. So many people last year were saying it was Klopp's team and he won it with Klopp's team. I defended it. Many others defended it. Then he gets to stamp his authority on the team this year. And we go backwards. Backwards. That wasn't the feeling in the summer. There was no thought, indication, expectation that we were going to go backwards. Not one. Romano said, Liverpool are considering the possibility to enter the winter transfer window with some sort of activity to add maybe one player. Nothing is decided now. Romano also said, Liverpool remain in direct contact with Canade's agent and a proposal for a new contract is on the table. It's completely up to the player. Liverpool are waiting for an answer. That is some beta boy nonsense. Liverpool are waiting for an answer. I'll give him his answer. Fuck off. There's your answer. You've been absolutely stinking it up. If you're not running to Anfield with that signed contract after the state of your performances, it's a joke. Still waiting around for Canade. Sign it or don't sign it. But how many times are we going to be mugged off by players? Somebody at that club has to grow a backbone. Trent did it and we all had to play along. Oh, maybe he hasn't made up his mind. Maybe it's just a fucking coincidence that he's got the old Rosetta Stone DVDs on the go and CDs. Maybe he just likes Spanish. Maybe he does. It's the same here with Canade. Sign the fucking deal or don't. But you're taking the piss at this point. If we were getting beat but showing signs of progression, if not great, but it's not a good sign, we're getting worse. Wirtz is no AG, Isak 1 goal. Wirtz no assist and goal, sorry. Isak 1 goal. Look, Isak I'm a lot more patient with. Because he isn't ready. You can see it. Like, physically he's not ready yet, and the team aren't up to speed with him yet. So I'm okay on that one. It's been a bit more stop-start maybe than we would have hoped with Isak. We knew we were going to have a period to wait, but it feels like with the groin strain, that's kind of kicked on a bit longer than we'd wanted. So yeah, I'm okay with that. But it needs to start turning soon. Like, Isak does need to start showing up. We're 12th with no tactics and no fighting. Nothing is under control. Exactly. I don't know where these people are coming out of the woodwork from. But some of the blind loyalty is absolutely embarrassing. TWB33 said, remember people like Trent talking about the attention to detail. So where's the attention of Mo constantly kicking the ball at defenders? he doesn't hold him to account, mate. It's as simple as that. Because I think he's scared of him. I've said this for the last couple of weeks. I think he's scared to take on Salah and hold him to account. Did you see Jamie Carragher, by the way, coming out and saying that Salah only talks when he gets a Man of the Match award or when he needs a new contract? He ain't wrong. He's not wrong. You know, that's one of the things I actually went, oh, wow. Fair play. Because look, I've disagreed with a lot from Carragher lately, but I do hold him in high regard. And I do have a lot of respect for Jamie Carragher. Sometimes I disagree, sometimes I agree. But he ain't wrong on that. When Mo needs something, Mo will show up. When Mo needs something, Mo will talk. But when we need leaders to stand up, where's he been? He's part of the leadership group. Where's he been? We've seen Robertson. We've seen Virgil. Have we seen Mo? No, we haven't. Now imagine he was playing like this last year. Do you think he'd have got that 400 odd grand a week new deal? No. We'd be talking about, do you remember when Mo used to be in the team? So again, no accountability. Leaders, senior players. Why aren't you fronting up? Why aren't you coming out and saying that it's killing you? You're appalled by this. The standards aren't good enough. It isn't acceptable. We're doing everything to change it. Nope. Hiding. Nowhere. Robertson fronts up. Virgil fronts up. Salah, nowhere to be seen. It seems Slot doesn't trust the team. He keeps insisting on the same players who aren't contributing, like Salah, Gakpo and Canade. Do Chiesa, Ramsey and Gomez need Dutch passports to play? Look, the Ramsey thing, fair enough. Like, he can't play in the Champions League because he isn't eligible, but it's still a leap to throw him in. But the rest I don't disagree with. I don't know. Look, I know I came in hot tonight, and I know that I'm full of anger. But every day, it just feels like there's just a new bunch of people who just come out and say, yeah, all of this is wrong. Everything's going in the wrong direction, but don't talk about sacking the manager. That's just silly. Well, then do something. Something has to change. You can't carry on with the same shit and think it's going to change. Players are pulling out of 50-50 challenges at the weekend. That shows players aren't afraid they'll be dropped. They don't fear or respect the manager. And it wasn't just you or me that said that, by the way. You've even got the lads at the Echo writing that the fans inside the stadium seeing Gakpo and Gravenberch pulling out challenges, and it turned the mood. So all this waffle about what it means to the players and how they're hurting means nothing when, as you've pointed out, Baz, they're not out there putting their bodies on the line. They're not out there running through a brick wall. Look at Chelsea today against Barcelona. I watched the first half of that game and they were absolutely mauling Barcelona. Up in their faces, physical, tempo was great. They knew what they were doing. They had a game plan. And then you contrast that with us against 19th place Forest at home. Half hour, great. Then one thing goes against us and it all falls apart. One thing, which by the way, went against us because of Canade kicking the ball out for a needless corner. I think we will win in Europe, but the players are prepared to throw Slot under the bus in the league. I feel that way, Baz. I feel like they are throwing the manager under the bus in the league. I do. But like I said, he's not doing himself much good by not having the balls to drop any of them. And by the way, all of this stuff on our squad is a joke. Like, this talk that we have this small squad, or, you know, that there aren't enough bodies to cover. Arne gone on about, well, we have 5 defenders. That's by choice, mate. That's by fucking choice. You went into the season with the squad. Did nobody tell you that Joe Gomez might get injured? Have you not watched Liverpool for the last 8, 9, 10 years? Like, we're going in and then being surprised that Gomez is injured. Being surprised that Bradley picks up more injuries. Craig, is there a danger of dropping lower in the league? You'd hope not. Like, the only good grace that we have now is that the league's so congested that 1 or 2 wins moves you further up the league table. But make no mistake, we could easily drop out of the European contention soon if something isn't done. And this is what I'm saying. The league is potentially salvageable to some extent now with action. But just sitting back and hoping with no actual signs of it, of any improvement, is just madness. You need to see something. I think Slot is simply clueless. Said totally not Wellington. Simple as. I don't know what's changed, mate. I really don't know. You know, we had a team last year that are night and day. Now, look, I'm not saying we were perfect last year. We weren't. But whatever he's trying to do, whatever it is, it's just shite and boring. Boring football. Not sexy football with more goals and more attacking. Boring, monotonous, obvious football. Gomez was proven not good enough. Endo isn't good enough. Neither is Jones. Can you imagine Arsenal and City having these three? So on Gomez, I would stand for him with regards to his quality and say I think he is good enough quality-wise. But you can't... It's like Reece James at Chelsea, although he probably isn't up to that standard, to be fair. A lot of injuries, and if you're going into a season planning on him as being one of your available defenders, I think it's naive to say the least. And again, when you're talking about injuries, no player wants to be injured. And I'm not trying to knock Joe Gomez for that. He's a model professional and he's been a great servant to our football club. But to act to Arne like it's a surprise that Joe is injured, it's again naivety to the extreme. Robert said League Cup game was the wrong decision. To keep playing Salah, Canade shocks me, and finally watching a team with no tactics worries me. So for me, honestly, I said it at the time, and again, so many people said I was wrong. I told you that not throwing away the League Cup was the right thing to do. Going out there and putting out not just a garbage 11, squad, no proper players on the bench. And by proper, I mean senior regular players. He threw that game. A home game, which if we won, we're 2 games away from Wembley. And you're telling me that that wouldn't build some positivity? That that wouldn't get people going in the right direction? So all the sacrifice of that competition for what? 1 good game against Villa in the league and then back-to-back defeats of 3-0. Was it worth it? David, this is a very fair point you've made, mate, before I read it out. I just want to say that. Edwards and Hughes' transfer policy has to be questioned. With Slot's style of play between them, they've destroyed a winning formula. It has to be questioned, of course. Like, all of this is not on Arne Slot. It isn't. Some of it's on the players, some of it's on the recruitment. But, unfortunately, in the football world we're in, the buck stops with the manager. And the manager is not getting a tune out of these players. Don Bosco said, I don't understand why at the end he takes Canade off and throws Gravenberg on at centre-back and just a lot of strikers. I'll go one further than you though, but dude, he has Gomez on the bench and then tells us after the game that he's not fit. So he's on the bench, but he can't bring him on. So he's gone into that game undermining himself by not having as strong a bench as he could have. So why have an unfit Gomez? Bring up somebody from the 21s. Anyone. A fit body. Somebody. It's madness. This is a mental issue. It's a spiritual thing. Said the lolly. It's an attitude thing. Look, his demeanour in these type of situations, it feels like it counts against him. Because he even said himself today in his press conference that he's an unshakable, calm character. And that's cool in a lot of aspects in life, but sometimes, you need that bit of emotion. Things need to be said. Truths need to be told. And I don't get the feeling that he has the backbone to do it. Dean said, Craig, I don't like to say this, but by Christmas we could be fighting relegation because I can't see us winning a game. Well, here's an interesting one for you, Dean. Somebody showed us a stat the other day that said if we hadn't have gotten those late goals in the first 5 games of the season, from the 83rd minute onwards, I think, we'd be in the relegation zone now. And we're closer to that, mate, than we are to the top of the league. Closer to relegation than we are to winning the league. But again, apparently that's not enough to get a manager fired. Because we're Liverpool and we don't fire managers. Do we get an extra Blue Peter badge for being Liverpool and not firing managers? You fire managers when they're not good enough. Admit you made a mistake and move on. But just constantly just saying, oh, we'll see. It's not bad enough yet. How much is the fish? Said, it can't go on like this, can it? It can. Apparently so, sir. Apparently so. Right, lots of news to get through as well. So let me start reading back through. Andy Robertson. And again, fair play to Andy Robertson. He said, we can't have any problems with the criticism that's coming our way at the minute. It's justified because of the position we're in and the results we've been having. But it's up to us now to stay together. I still believe in every single player in this changing room, and I believe the good times will come again. But we need to show it, and we need to show it sooner rather than later, because it's now gone on for too long being at Liverpool. So, if it's gone on for too long, how is that not enough? Like, everybody said it's too long. It's too bad. Dropping too far. Standards have gone through the floor. And yet, somehow, we're Liverpool, we don't sack managers as some badge of honour. Billy said over 40% of games lost since February. Sacrilege. I know. When we're winning, it's all about the standards. Every day on the training ground. Standards, standards, standards. This is Liverpool Football Club. We exist to win. When we're losing, all of a sudden, the same standards don't necessarily apply when it comes to being held accountable. And like I said, that sentence, or that couple of sentences from Carragher, I think sums up how far removed he is from the actual pulse of the fans. When he says that he's surprised. Let me read it out to you again, just in case you're coming in late. Carragher said, I must say, some of the people I spoke to after the Forest game, fans, friends and family, and how they spoke about Slot shocked me a little bit. I have the feeling that he doesn't have the unconditional love and support that Jurgen Klopp always had. The fact that he needs to speak to people to know that is astounding. Of course he doesn't have the same unconditional support that Jurgen had. He's not Jurgen. I don't understand how he needs to speak to family, friends and people at the game to figure that out. With all due respect to Mr. Carragher. It's crazy. Like I said, him and Neville went on their little rants about the performances and the manager. 3-4 minutes about everything that wasn't good enough, and then threw in that little one sentence at the end. But any talk of firing the manager is too soon. Why? Why is it? €500 million is good enough for a squad. We spent poorly. See, I don't think we did spend poorly. Hand on heart, mate, I don't. I don't think we built out the squad enough with regard to the depth of the squad. But even in all of this, I have to say, I do feel that the transfer business was very, very good. I genuinely do. I still say, all the players we brought in are fantastic players. We're just not seeing it yet. And why we're not seeing it yet as part of, the conversation we're having. Portadown Blue, how are we, sir? The We Don't Sack Managers is the new Net Spend League award. It's bollocks. We have a stand named after a manager that was sacked for less. I know, mate. I know. And I agree. It's that whole, and it's the new version of that Shankly quote that we all have to listen to every time we dare have a standard. If you can't support us when we're losing, don't support us when we're winning. That nonsense. It's just, I don't know. So, we've asked, do you think FSG are forcing Alexander Isak on Arne Slot? And the reason I asked that is not because I think it, because I actually think it's absolute garbage. But Footy Insider put it out. And they said, Arne Slot is under pressure from Liverpool's owners to start Isak. I don't believe that for a second. Not 1 second do I think that John W. Henry and Tom Werner or Mike Gordon or anybody at FSG is trying to interfere with the manager's team selections. Not for 1 second do I think they're doing that. And this is me, somebody who's been fairly critical of the owners for stuff over the years. But like I'm saying, I'm trying to show you, I genuinely say what I feel. And in this instance, I feel that the owners need supporting and defending. Because I just can't believe there's any world that they do that. Because the manager would walk. Any manager worth their salt would walk. Imagine you're in the job and the owner's telling you what team or what player to play. Not a chance. Adios. So, I want to read you out something from Bayern Space, and then I want to talk about something Dominic King said. So please bear with me for the next minute or two, and I want to read through something, because this account keeps getting mocked, but keeps being proven right. So it's Bayern Space, we've discussed them on the channel quite a bit. They wrote, I can now reveal that Bayern Munich has been informed through long-standing communication channels with Volker Struth of Sports 360, the agent of Julian Nagelsmann, that there has been contact between Struth and Liverpool sporting director Richard Hughes regarding the future availability of Julian Nagelsmann. Bayern remain close to Struth due to Nagelsmann's ongoing connections to the club, and because several influential board members still operate within the same advisory network that handled his original appointment. Through this chain, Bayern were made aware that Liverpool reached out in recent days for exploratory talks. The exchange was described as loose and precautionary, aimed only at understanding Nagelsmann's long-term intentions should the situation under Arne Slot worsen. Richard Hughes was assured that Nagelsmann will not leave the national team before the World Cup under any circumstance. However, depending on Germany's performance, an early exit from his contract, which runs until 2028, is viewed as possible for a club of Liverpool's historical stature. Bayern were informed of these nuances because they maintain regular contact with the DFB leadership and with Struth, and because Nagelsmann's long-term trajectory influences their own strategic considerations. But here's the really interesting part. Inside Bayern, one detail has circulated more quietly, that Jurgen Klopp is believed to be guiding Liverpool towards securing Nagelsmann, helping shape the succession plan that could unfold after the World Cup. In return, it is whispered that Klopp would be considered the natural successor to Nagelsmann at the national team, completing a chain that multiple senior figures inside German football have long envisioned. Now, that's what that account had to say. Now I'm going to tell you what Dominic King had to say in reaction to that. He said, talk about Nagelsmann being a contender to replace Slot is nonsense. The Germany manager wasn't a candidate to replace Jurgen Klopp, and Liverpool are not looking to change their head coach. So firstly, was Nagelsmann not already the German manager when we brought in Arne? So wouldn't have been on a list because he was in a job that was very clear wasn't going to get him out of, because he was clearly building to the World Cup. So am I wrong on that, or was he already employed? Which might explain why he wasn't on a list originally. And secondly, the Liverpool are not looking to change their head coach part from Dominic. again, that's just another example of no standards and just putting out whatever the club tells you. So many of these journalists are being briefed bullshit, go out there and sell it to the public, and think we're going to swallow it. It's just nonsense. Nonsense. Hate to say this, but I hope PSV turn up tomorrow and beat us so we can get rid of them. Salah hasn't got a clue, said Lewis Grizzly. Mr. Grant B, or Mr. Grant B2, said, I just don't see any emotional response from Salah, and that is reflected in the team. Wouldn't happen under Jurgen. You're right. It wouldn't. Doing what the club tells them equals Churchill nodding dog. So here's the thing, right? This is why I fall out with so many of the journalists, by the way. Because there are a certain section of the journalists that aren't really doing, in my opinion, a fair job. Because they're just parroting whatever the club tells them to have favour with the club, despite the fact that a lot of the time what they're being told is garbage and the opposite turns out to be true. And then they have the cheek to give out to me, as Dominic King has on social media, for daring call out their bullshit. You make a decision if you're a journalist. Do you want credibility or do you want favour with a football club? Because if you want favour with a football club and you aren't willing to be fair and challenging to that club, then go work for the club. Because that seems to be the end game for a lot here. Do well, be a good little boy, and eventually you'll get the golden chair inside Anfield. But go down that route if you like, but just be aware that people like me will be here to call out your bullshit, because that's what it is, bullshit. You, I, and everybody else watching this team knows that Arne Slot is not good enough and that it should change. Coming on and parroting whatever nonsense the club wants you to spew out there, like, let's go back. Let's talk about somebody who I hold in very high regard, Mr. James Pearce. Liverpool have no intention of bringing in a goalkeeper. 1 week later, hello Georgie Mamadashvili, how are you? It happens over and over and over. You either be a lackey or have credibility. One or the other. You don't get to play both sides of the fence and then claim fucking insult when anyone calls you out on it. Did you become a journalist to break breaking news or to be a yes man to somebody else? Because there's a lot of journalists out there that are not doing their job. They're not standing up. They're not questioning. They're not pushing back. And then they have the cheek to call us out or call us toxic because we have a pair of balls and we built our platforms on our own. Nobody handed us jack shit. We say what people think. That's why we're here. That's why people watch. Bit like Lynch saying we didn't want Frimpong. And then the backtracking after that. Look, like I said, it winds me up because these people treat us like idiots and think that we're just going to thank them for it. They look down on other football fans. How many times have I called out the Echo for talking down to their own readership? Liverpool fans want to be like Chelsea and Manchester City fans and just spend money for the sake of it. No, we don't. Arseholes. No, we don't. But we do have standards. Fucking dweebs. Wayne said, after this run and Salah and VVD form, FSG won't ever be giving out massive contracts to 30-plus-year-olds. And again, Hughes probably sat there saying, told you so. I want Liverpool to win, but I also want Slot out, WFM. I have to say, on the Salah contract thing, it's... yeah, sorry, I want to just pull out something here in the chat. So, another fucking genius that I'm about to just rip a shred said, short memories, the last 6 months of Klopp's tenure were abysmal. Right? And your point is? Your point is what? You're talking about a man that brought us to the promised land from nowhere. that delivered the European Cup, that built this club on his back and his fucking shoulders and had earned 6 months. So we don't have short memories. We just put it into context, you fucking idiot. So before you come on trying to talk down to the rest of us, try and understand what it is you're discussing, or shut the fuck up. Gobshite. Short memories. No, mate, not short memories. Context. Did you ever hear of that word? Context. Anyway, when I lived in London, I played in a Sunday League team. One time we lost 3 games in a row, and with 3-0 down at half time in a game, we ended up having a huge fight. Liverpool has no fight, said Martin. Jurgen entertained us. Exactly. And we knew he cared. We knew he cared. And if you really wanted to try and talk about Klopp, well, the 6 home games we lost should have really been what you were talking about. But even at that, he'd earned the right to have that blip. He built this club back up on his shoulders with his force of personality. Arne hasn't done that. Lewis said, Slot playing the third team against Palace showed us he doesn't care about us fans. Exactly. And that wound me up, because people travel there with their kids to watch a game of football, probably expecting a change team. But not that. That was 2 fingers up to the fans. And nobody will ever tell me different on that. That was a massive fuck you to the fans that paid their money to go to that game. And nothing's going to change my mind on that. You think Hugo could be better than Isak in the future? It's a good question. He might be. He might be. I mean, you take into account his age as well. Look, his ceiling is very high. I think that's fair to say. I love him. I've really appreciated his start to the campaign. And I was absolutely dumbfounded that he wasn't in the starting 11 for the Forest game. Like, of all the changes Arne could have made, to probably drop the most in-form forward. Now, I'm maybe not talking goals and assists here, but I'm talking about players. Giving a shit. Making a difference. Running the hard yards. Doing something a little bit different. And he drops them. He drops them. I can't believe it. Chelsea play with passion. Look at us. We'll only play with passion if Slot gets it goes, in my opinion. So here's the really telling thing. They could turn it on under the lights against Real Madrid, but they couldn't do it against Forest. So this is a question, Corbin, mate, that I've been asking myself quite a bit. Sorry, I don't mean to keep crossing my arms. I know it's rude, but my shoulder's sore. Can Slot win you around, or are you done? Everything is salvageable. Everything. Every relationship is salvageable. But I don't want to be won back over now, because I've seen and heard enough. So if he wins 5 or 6 in a row, absolutely. I'm sure people will be happier. But I don't believe that he should be given the opportunity to do it, because he hasn't been able to do it thus far. After 3 natural breaks. September international break, October international break, November international break. The man went to Dubai in October after 3 losses. Comes back and we lose to United. It's just, optics aren't great. So, I want to just end this poll. Do you think FSG are forcing Slot to play Isak? 74% say no. And look, I would definitely be in that 74%. I don't in any way think the owners are forcing them on him. Neil said, hard disagree. Every relationship isn't salvageable. I think I should probably have put the caveat for me. because, granted, every person has their own tolerance levels for different things. For me, a lot of the time, things are salvageable if people admit their mistakes. But honestly, I truly feel that he should have resigned if he had credibility at this point. Because I'm not just saying because we've lost the games. I'm talking about him being fired for a whole host of reasons. The results are some, the style is another, the lack of aggression and fight in the team is another. And he's going 2-3 systems in one game and none of them working. And he's now admitting he can't play against a low block. The man can't play against a low block. He said it himself. We can't beat a low block. And when he's not doing that, he's fawning over Guardiola and Luis Enrique. The whole thing just feels weird. So I want to again come back to what Carragher said about fans not having the same blind loyalty to him. Because they don't feel the same way. He isn't Jurgen, and that's okay. No one's going to be Jurgen. But I don't really think he's endeared himself in the same way to fans. I don't think fans have that same natural connection to Arne. Because he's a very different type of person. So I think it's understandable that that connection isn't there. In the same way. That's just my take on it. Itachi said, I'm sick of Arne. It doesn't feel right for me that this is our manager. Sorry, not sorry. I'm fed up. City losing at home in the Champions League. Are we seeing the drop off now? Did you see the team that they put out though? I was very surprised at the starting 11 they went with. No Haaland, no Bernardo Silva, no Foden. Look, I haven't heard what Guardiola said, but certainly a surprising team that he put out. No lie, Eli said Slot completely freezes players out. No wonder the morale of the team is in the dumps. A teammate, I'd hate seeing it. Exactly. And have I not said multiple times that he's undermining the squad? Like I said, imagine you're Chiesa or Elliott or Endo or any of those players who are showing up day after day, training like pros, not complaining, and are getting overlooked every single time. He has a squad that he moans about being a tight-knit squad because he wants a tight-knit squad, and then he's intentionally making his own smaller squad smaller by blackballing certain players. It's absolute insanity. We're handing away millions a year to players that he doesn't want to play, and he's had a chance to move on. It's absolute lunacy. Lunacy. Who thinks managers and players should get fined for consistency of bad results all the time to teach them a lesson in a good way? No, I don't. I don't. I think being held accountable is enough. So for a player not performing on the bench, for a manager not performing consistently over a long enough period, fired. David Coughlin said, Craig, remember between Paris Saint-Germain, we had Southampton. Even though we won the league, it was close to be wrapped up, we went full strength against Southampton, who had 6 points in the league. Actually, do you know what, mate? I'll be honest, I don't remember the run that we had at that point or who we played or didn't play, but I'll take your word for it. I don't know, mate. Some of the decisions last year were weird. So, genuine question. When's the last time you remember Liverpool, outside of Real Madrid and Aston Villa, because I think they were fair performances, when's the last time you remember us looking like ourselves and playing well for anything more than 15 minutes? Because you could argue that last year we didn't even look great a lot of the time and we won games. This season, even at the start when we were perfect 5 from 5, everybody was still saying we were getting away with it. And by everybody, I mean like us, the fans, that we were fortunate that we weren't playing at a level that we should be. Credit to Brian Cav, Amber and Depp wasn't salvageable. I think it was. I think it was salvageable. I think they could have. But like I said, I probably should have caveated that by saying my personal, for me. We 4 clean sheets out of like 17 or 18 games now, just not good enough, said Billy Beckner. City away last season. Yeah, good shout. City away. That was the same week we beat Madrid as well, wasn't it? If I remember correctly, last season. Yeah, that was a good week. City away was a good performance, definitely. Tipsy Tips, he said, we're bad when I'm more looking forward to getting my ironing done every weekend than watching us play. We're living in scary times. So here's why I don't think it's salvageable. When you get to the point where there is a clear frustration inside the stadium from fans, that's the beginning of the end. Do you remember when Simon Mignolet was making a howler after a howler with his feet? Every time he got the ball inside the stadium, you could almost feel the groaning because we were scared and you knew what was coming. I think it's going to be like that with Ireland now. Every bad result is going to put the pressure back on, because once the conversation starts and fans begin to turn, it's only a matter of time at that point. I don't really remember a manager salvaging a career from a point like this, where so many vocally are critical. Now, we're always told that Liverpool fans are knowledgeable football fans. And that's right. Because if we were seeing something that we thought was salvageable, you would hear so many more people being supported. Like I said, for me, if we were trying a new style, a system that the players weren't used to, and mistakes were coming from the system, I'd understand it. But that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing a team lose fight, identity, shape, can't defend, awful at set pieces, after spending a huge amount of money. It's just not right. The form of Salah and fringe players got us through last season. Yeah, Mohamed Salah was incredible. Absolutely incredible last season. But this feels so bad to say. What do you think if Salah was in the last year of his contract this year, he'd be playing the same way? I'm going to ask that as a poll question. Okay, so the way I've worded it, it's a bit wordy. Do you think if this was Salah in his last year and needing a new deal, his form would be the same? And I'm kind of leaning into what Carragher said about Salah only talking when he needs something, or when he wants to shine attention onto something that suits him. He's not wrong with that, is he? Like, think back. He ain't wrong. No tactics, no fight. Salah has to go. We are Liverpool, said Kev Parker. Right, so let's go through your answers. Of course, no, said Itachi. Probably not, said Feel Like Jerome. Yes, said Nick. Salah has Trent's mentality, won a trophy with the club and now completely given up. He ain't playing for a contract or the league anymore. He himself said he only wants another Champions League. But Salah is a pro and he loves Liverpool. So he absolutely is and absolutely does. But like I've said many times, I don't believe in coincidences. And he's not the first and he won't be the last player to have an outstanding season when money's up for discussion and then tail off afterwards. And I'm not saying he's doing it on purpose, but I'm saying even subconsciously it feels strange. Because I remember saying last year over and over again that he won't be another Alexis Sanchez. He won't be another Mesut Ozil. He won't be somebody that gets that big deal and then falls off a cliff. Well, unfortunately, he has. And now he's gone missing. He's not fronting up the camera. You know, and this is a man, by the way, that some people want to captain. Not an ounce of captain material there. Not an ounce. Where is he fronting up to this? Where is his interviews saying how devastated he is and that standards need to be kept up? Not there. Shine away from it. It scares me because I don't want us to start going through managers like Chelsea or United, but I agree Salah hasn't been good enough. Nobody wants us to go through managers in that way, mate. Nobody. But it's okay to need to make a change. You know? It's okay. Shit happens. And it's always going to be an incredibly difficult job to follow somebody like Jurgen Klopp. But the really, really frustrating thing is he took something that wasn't broken and broke it. And that is astounding. He was brought in to follow on from Jurgen and his style. And he's gone so far removed from the very thing that fans loved. High intensity, high press, high aggression football. To this tippy-tappy, pass it sideways and backwards bollocks that we're all looking at week in and week out. That in itself is criminal. And then you can't turn it around because you can't G the players back up. And that to me is a motivational thing. Or a lack of fear. No, not as good as he was last season, but not this. I don't know, mate. Like I said, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't. I don't. But like I said, he's also not. He's not acting like a senior pro, is he? If you want to phrase it that way, then let's say that. Because nowhere to be seen. I don't want to see another photo of him in the gym on Instagram, posing in front of a mirror. I want to see him coming out and telling us why this will change. I want to see him coming out and telling the fans that it's killing him, that this is happening. But he isn't. Robertson has. Virgil has. Mo, senior pro, standard bearer, highest paid player, club legend. Inconspicuous. Nowhere. Conspicuous. Probably what I meant to say. It took Man United years after winning their last Premier League title to drop so far down the league. We did it in 4 months. We're a bunch of muppets. Jorge or George, excuse me, mate. I want to say your name correctly, so just let me know the next time if it's pronounced Jorge or George, dude. I don't blame Slot 100%. Szoboszlai can have the winning mentality. Why can't others? I blame players equally as I blame Slot, especially experienced players. See, that, mate, I don't disagree with you on. But here's the thing. Unfortunately, you can't sack a player or a load of them. You can move them on, you can sell them, but you're then doing that at a point where their stock is lower. So you're probably losing money on it. Usually in these scenarios, and again, George, I agree with you. It isn't all on Arne Slot. You're damn right about that. But we know how this works in football. It's the manager that will ultimately be held responsible for it. And then maybe, yes, over time, some of those underperforming players will be moved on. A thought, VVD is a player manager. Not for me. Not for me. Like I said the other day, it feels like the person who came into our chat and said that Jurgen was the counterbalance to Virgil. I think there's probably a lot of truth in that. In that, Virgil could have that calm chat with the players after Klopp's told him a new one. Klopp could go in, tell the players a new one in the dressing room, and then Virgil will come in and calm it down afterwards and talk to the players and say, we need to do this for the gaffer. That kind of way. And I thought that was spot on. I can't remember who said it, but fair play, I thought it was spot on. Team reflects the manager. I agree. So, do you think if this was Salah in his last year and needing a new deal, his form would be the same? So far, we'll let it get to 1,000 votes, but so far, people are saying that they think his form would be different. Good cop, bad cop. Exactly, Mark. Exactly. Right, let me keep going. So let's talk about the match officials for the game coming up at the weekend against West Ham. Referee, Darren England. And by the way, I want to thank Mark for this. Mark always puts the match officials into our Discord every week when they're released. So thank you, Mark. It really does make a difference. Referee, Darren England. First assistant referee, Scott Ledger. Second assistant referee, Akil Howson. Fourth official, Andrew Kitchen. VAR, Paul Tierney. VAR assistant, Nicholas Hopton. So they're the officials for the game against West Ham in London on Sunday. I don't want to hear any words. I just want to see it on the pitch. Exactly, Jonathan Pritchard. Exactly, mate. There's been too many words spoken and not enough action from the players. Right, let's talk some transfer news for a minute. So Florian Plettenberg said Liverpool are definitely planning additions in January. They're looking for a winger who can make an immediate impact. They're also monitoring strikers and favourable market conditions, and they have an eye on centre backs as well. A bit here on Steven Gerrard from TalkSport. Steven Gerrard is unlikely to take a manager's job in the UK until at least April. He was close to rejoining Rangers in the wake of Russell Martin's sacking before his last-minute U-turn. Gerrard would have to pay 45% of his earnings if he returned to the UK permanently before the spring. So he'd have to pay 45% tax. So that could potentially rule him out of any caretaker role. Alex Crook said Liverpool remain interested in Antoine Semenyo, and sources close to the winger say he would be open to a move to Anfield. That's good news. That Semenyo is open to the move. That's definitely a positive. I want to ask you a question once we get this Salah poll done. So I need 200 more votes on that. And then I've got a question that I want to ask you about the January transfer window. So if you have a second you haven't voted, please do let us know your thoughts on the Salah poll. Do you think if this was last year and he needed a new deal, his form would be the same as it is now? If you can, please vote on that and then we'll get on to the other one. Dominic Soboslai on why he thinks Arne Slot should be, or has used him, at right back this season. I think it comes from growing up playing as a central midfielder. In my opinion, a central midfielder can play any position on the pitch a lot easier. The midfield is where a lot of the action happens in training and in the matches. I can see where he's coming from with that. I still don't like the fact that he is being put at right back. I think we're losing a lot in the centre of the park when he isn't there, especially because he's been our best player. Are they still trying to cancel the outside noise? Well, it's funny you mentioned that. One sec. I'm trying to find the quote. that discusses the outside noise, because there was one in the press conference, I believe, today. I just don't have the quote to hand. I think it might have been Gakpo said something about the outside noise, but, you know. Uncle Burnt apostrophe said Salah defo has form for playing better when he needs a new contract. It's not just him. That's not a Salah issue, to be fair. A lot of players, and it isn't a coincidence. Evening, Craig Brown community. I just want us to get back to playing football and ditch this side-to-side football. I know. I agree, David. And thank you as always, sir, for popping in. Right, we're nearly there. 100 votes to go. And then I want to ask you something about the January transfer window. So again, if you can, please do vote for us. Also, if you haven't hit the like button, please do. And let me just say, I'm really sorry. I want to apologise. I'm really sorry for being angry. I am. I don't want to come in and start a stream in an angry tone. I don't want to come in and drag you down anymore. But the last couple of days has really wound me up, because I've seen so many people say the same stuff. It isn't good enough. Things are all over the place. The performances haven't been good enough. The results haven't been good enough. We're 12th in the league table. All the stuff that we all know, only to then say, but talk of sacking the manager is premature. Why? Why? I can't figure it out. Why is it premature? It's not 1 or 2 losses. And it's not just from this season. And also the revisionism about what was the expectations were in the summer. People saying the club expected some changes this year. The club expected forms to dip. No, they didn't. That was none of the conversation in the summer. Everybody was bullish. Everybody was upbeat. Everybody was talking about domination. Everybody was talking about building a team for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years to compete in every competition. And now all of a sudden, insiders at the club expected this. I don't buy it. And like I said, I'm really sorry, because I know people come in for a release from their own stresses. And I don't mean to add to your stress. But when, like I said, when you're reading the manager's press conference notes and you're actually shouting out loud, feck right off. And I did actually shout that out loud in my own sitting room today. My wife looked at me like I was losing the plot. That's where we're at. And I don't think he has enough goodwill with the fans to get through it. Right, we're nearly there. Just need 40 votes more. 38. We're feeling it too, Craig, and like you, we hate it, but it's wrong to bottle it up. It's not just the bottling it up, man. It's the double speak from so many. Like, some of the journalists that cover our football club, they really, really get under my skin, because they are not doing their job, in my opinion. They're not doing their job. I can't remember anybody asking the manager why he's ignoring Chiesa. I can't remember anybody trying to hold the manager or the club to account. I can't remember difficult questions being asked in press conferences. I can't remember anything other than parroting. And I'm talking about the ones that cover our club week in and week out, not ones that write for national newspapers that cover a game every now and again. I'm talking about the ones that are there every week, every press conference. There's just... Do you guys understand the phrase "jobs for the boys"? Do you understand what I mean when I say that? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like the journalists are in the club's pocket. So many of them. And that's not healthy, because all it does is underline the power the club has and the restriction of real freedom of opinion around the club. Because we keep being told by these people that real fans don't feel this way, real fans don't do this, real fans don't do that. Well, I must not know any real fans, because everybody that I'm speaking with is done. Everybody. Now, like I said, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we have a good journalistic standard around our football club. There are people who can write some good pieces. There are very talented journalists who can write very good articles. But I don't think that any of them hold the club to account in a way that serves the readership fairly. Slot needs to have a good shot at Champions League and get 4th place to save his job if FSG choose to stick for now. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think through. Like I said, if he wins the next 5 games in a row, at least we'll see there's something being built there. There's something on the way. And, you know, I'm happy to shut up, because all I want is, like everybody else, results to turn around. Yeah. Last year, PSG was really bad until Christmas and Enrique turned it around. Patience. Look, I can't argue about that, Denzel, because he did. But what I remember, if you hear me out, mate, was PSG getting used to a way of playing and used to a philosophy of football. And the mistakes were coming because of the way that they were trying to play under Luis Enrique. That's not what I see with us. I see a lack of fight, a lack of aggression. That's very concerning to me, because I'd be way more understanding, Denzel, if I thought it was down to changes that he was trying to implement and we could see what he was looking to do. But I'd come back and say, what is our style of football? Try explain it in a couple of sentences. I don't think I could do it. FC Pitside said, I'm a fan of the club. Somebody gets paid millions but does not deliver, should be held accountable at some point. Owners must start asking, what's up? So somebody told me, and again, I don't follow American sports too much outside of a bit of NFL, but somebody told me that they're pretty ruthless, FSG, with regards to the coaches at the Red Sox. Now, I don't know if this person's misinformed or not, but is there anybody who can fill in those blanks for me in the chat that, you know, maybe is based in America or watches baseball or something that would have a better understanding of that scenario than I would? Because I don't know, but if they are that way, they need to be that way here. Right, so we asked, do you think if this was Salah's last year and he's needing a new deal, he'd be the same? 66%, so 2/3 of people said no, he wouldn't be the same if he needed a new contract. I think, you know, that tells you something about where people's heads are at. So I did say I wanted to ask you something about the transfer window, so thank you for bearing with me. So, what's priority number 1 for you in the January market? Which of these 3 positions do you think is priority number 1? Because we're seeing a lot of talk about wingers being linked again. A lot of Antoine Semenyo talk and stuff like that. And look, whilst I'm not against a winger being brought in any way, shape or form, I very much believe if we're doing one piece of business like Romano's talking about in the January transfer window, it can't even be a debate. It has to be a centre-back. You know, for various reasons. The lack of depth, Canade's form, the fact we missed out on Marc Guéhi in the summer. I don't even think it's a debate. So, like I said, no problem with Semenyo and wingers being linked, because that is a position I think we need. But if we're doing one bit of business, it has to be a centre-back. Peter. Cook Madrid at home, get outplayed by Dyche Ball at home. My opinion, this has been the case since we got bullied by Newcastle in the League Cup final. We're soft, Peter. Mate, let's just say it, mate. We're soft. We have no grit left by the looks of it. And there's one thing that keeps coming up to me in what Arne says. When we play a team that actually wants to come and have a go, we can exploit space and we can do well. Your Aston Villas, who he actually said he was surprised that they came and played as openly as they did. Your Real Madrids. People who are either confident enough of their own ability or just get it wrong. But when you play against a compact team that sit back, defend and counter-attack under Arne, that causes a lot of problems. And that's why I was so angry after the Forest performance. Because it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what Sean Dyche's team is going to do. Everybody knew it. You knew it, I knew it. The dog in the street knows what Sean Dyche's teams are going to do. They're going to defend with their lives. They're going to fight for every ball. They're going to work for set pieces. And they're going to do the basics right. And we played right into their hands. And the first goal we conceded, we collapsed. We are good for half an hour. They score. We fall apart. You go in at half time. Make an example out of Canade. And take him off. Nope. Send him back out. Within 60 seconds, the ball was in the net and we were 2-0 down. Then he takes Canade off a few minutes later when the damage has been done. So many things that are just look weak. Thank you, mate. I don't have much, dude. You know? I don't have much. I'm not the best looking. I'm certainly not in great nick. But I care an awful lot about this football club because it's meant so much to me in my life. It's gotten me through dark times of my life. Having that escape. Having the football to turn on and to forget about worries. Financially, health, family, anything. Club's been there. And when I see us hurting in the way that we are now, it eats away at me. And I get ridiculed quite a bit by people who describe me as not a serious person or toxic. But I'm honest. And I'll always be honest. I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm not going to hide away and not say what I think needs to be said. For all the good it does, I don't know. But the escape's been taken away from us. And the one thing that's supposed to bring us together and bring us relief and joy is causing us anguish and frustration. And all that happens in these moments is fans end up fighting with each other. And when you have multi-millionaires talking a great game but doing fuck all to actually put it right, I find that very grinding. Because the club's supposed to have that connection. When are we at our best? When the manager and the players and the fans are all pulling in the same direction. Those three things have to click in unison or it doesn't work. And Arne won the league in his first year, and that bought him a lot of goodwill. But Carragher's right. He doesn't have the same sway with the fans. He doesn't hold the same place in fans' hearts yet. And I think that's down to the way he comes across. And I'm just fucking sad. I'm just sad as a Liverpool fan right now. It makes no sense. You win a league, you bring in world-class players, and now you're so piss poor, the lads don't even look like they're putting in a shift. And there are people there trying to tell us that this is okay and that the club aren't worried. They should be worried. They should be very, very worried. Every manager we've had since Kenny in 1990 has been sacked with the exception of Jurgen. Yeah. And this should, again, tell them something. Because when Jurgen lost 6 home games in a row in the league, there was no Jurgen out. None. Because people really understood. They knew that it was eating away at him. They knew that however bad I was feeling or you were feeling, Jurgen felt the same. Therein lies the difference. Jurgen is very much like me and many others in that you can tell what mood he's in by just glancing at him. You can read him. He's open. So what can be Arne's strength in one way, his calm demeanour, his tactical nous, can also, I think, in certain circumstances, be his downfall in that he can't go to the well. Like I remember just before we signed him, there was a video doing the rounds of a speech he gave to the Feyenoord players, I think a half-time after they were playing Ajax. And it was billed as a super motivational speech. And I watched it and I thought, really? Like, that's supposed to be motivational? It was just passionless. So according to these journalists, fans wanting Roy Hodgson out would have been wrong. Are we being serious? I guarantee you, mate, and I don't have the articles, but I guarantee you, if you go back to that time, there will be people writing that the club have no mind to sack him, or that he shouldn't be. None of them. Look, I look at it like this. If you are reliant on the club, you are up shit creek. Because sooner or later, in media, you're going to be fucked. Because you say something that's going to get you blacklisted, and then you're gone. I think, and I've said this for years, there is a real space in journalism for somebody to cover Liverpool, warts and all. And you may not get into the press conferences, you may not get into the stadium to get a media credential, but you will have millions of fans around the world queuing up to read your work. Now, I'm not a journalist and I can't string a sentence together on paper. My grammar's awful. But somebody should take that space because it's there. It's waiting. It's the same way this channel succeeded because there was nobody out there really saying it. There's everybody out there saying what's great when we're winning, but there's nobody out there willing to put their neck on the line except us when things are going bad or shit needs to be said. And the reason is fear. I don't have anything to fear because I'm not reliant on the club for access, for anything. I'm reliant on you, my viewers, my friends, my audience. And as long as you know that I'm sincere, that's good enough for me. Steve, if you're going to come in to try and troll me, please be able to construct a 3-word sentence, mate. Because all you've done is make me feel sorry for your educators. Because my God, dude, 3 words? 3 words. And you can't get them right. Our midfield as guilty as our defence. So wide open. Look, I'm a big believer in defending starts from the front. And particularly with the style that we play, or used to play. But yeah, you're right. We are so wide open. And you know the when we started playing this sideways, backwards stuff under Arne, I thought that it was because they wanted to cut out those mistakes, those defensive mistakes. But we've seen failure on two sides of the ball because of the way we're knocking it around. We're not attacking with enough threat because we're cutting back inside. Doing that allows the defenders to reset. Our counter-attacks are nowhere near what they once were. We're running into trouble. We're keeping the ball too long that the passing channels are closed. When we try to play through, we're not finding a way and we're getting frustrated. And then we're being counter-attacked and we're wide open. So both sides of the football hasn't been good enough. And the halfway house that he's got us playing isn't going to solve it. If you want to play high risk, high reward, you've got to play high risk, high reward. Not half risk, hope for high reward. You either go for that Paris Saint-Germain system of getting your fullbacks high up the pitch, pressing the shit out of the opposition, and grinding them into submission. Or you find a different style that doesn't rely on that. Because how many times this season have we turned over possession when we win the ball, go up the field, get into a decent position, cut back, and allow them to reset defensively? Not an early cross that catches them running backwards. We play in front of them. Easy. The Tarkowskis of this world, the Murillos of this world, they'll lap that shit up all day. Because that's what they're drilled on. Deep defending, balls in the box, heading everything away, putting their bodies on the line. To counteract that, you have to get them out of shape, which means moving quickly. It's not rocket science. Sometimes football's overcomplicated by people. It's not hard. You create overloads. You get third man runs. You pull the ball back from the edge of the box. You cross in the half spaces. Our midfield is guilty as a defence. We've done that one. Peter said, if Ibu starts tomorrow, I'll absolutely lose my shit. Don't know what to expect, mate. So if you haven't seen my preview, I'll run you through my 11 and you can give me your take on it. Alisson in goal. I've put Gomez at right back. Endo as the right centre back. Virgil left centre back. Andy Robertson left back. Midfield of Dominic Szoboszlai, Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister. Right hand side, I've put Mohamed Salah. Left hand side, I've put Rio Ngamoa. And through the centre, I've put Hugo Ekitike. That to me would at least show that the manager sees what we see and is starting to hold people to account. Now, I would throw in Federico Chiesa for Salah, but you know, I don't believe in the tooth fairy, so there's no chance that Arna's going to do that. And if he does, fair play. But that's what I would do tomorrow. Hold Canade to account. Put Gomez into a position instead of putting Dominic Szoboszlai or Curtis Jones. And put Endo at centre-back just to show Canade that he isn't undroppable. And look, also, give Rio a start at home. Let's build the kid up. I was looking at the Chelsea game earlier on, and they said that Lamine Yamal has now played, I think, 17 or 18 Champions League games, and he's just turned 18. So let's give Rio a go. A proper go. Not a garbage minutes go, a proper go. Imagine if we had gotten a draw in 2 of those first 5 matches, we would be, 14th. Let's call it what it is. Yeah. Why won't he play Chiesa? Yeah. I don't know, dude. I don't know, and I don't know if anyone does. We all have our own theories on it, but I don't know why he doesn't play him. What's this? So, Indy Kayla has just said, we understand that Liverpool have submitted a bid for Mark Gay. We understand the bid is around 25 million with add-ons. I hope that's right. Yeah, I hope that's right. Because it would at least show that that's a priority and that we need something done quickly. So, We're nearly up to the 1,000 votes here on what is the priority number one in the January market for you. And it's an absolute landslide, but do vote if you haven't. And the reason I'm asking for the vote is because Romano and a few others have said that Liverpool are looking at maybe adding one player in. Now remember, 2 weeks ago, all the journalists were reporting that Liverpool were going to hold their nerve in January. Pretty much. There was pretty much, it's more unlikely than likely that Liverpool will make an addition in the January market. 2-3 weeks ago. Am I wrong? That was being reported. Now all of a sudden, Liverpool might dip their foot into the transfer market in January. Why would that be? Because they're worried. That's why. Because they see deficiencies. Because they know they've made errors. So if we're willing to admit that we've made a mistake there, surely we need to admit we're doing the same with the manager before it's too late. Because nothing is earned by just waiting and waiting and waiting and the results still going shit, other than we fall further down the league table. We're in the bottom half of the league as defending champions with 450 million spent, with Virgil van Dijk and Alisson Becker, Mohamed Salah, with a World Cup winner Alexis McAllister. Bottom half. There's no choice. We need to be in the market. Yeah, you're right. There is no choice. But we were being told 2 weeks ago that that wasn't the plan. See what I mean about believing everything the club tells you? This is what I'm saying. These journalists dig a hole for themselves a lot of the time by believing what they're being told. And do you know what? Some of them don't believe it. I know from speaking to some that they doubt some of the stuff they're told, but yet they still put it out there. So you're putting access ahead of credibility sometimes. That told me all I needed to know. And then they jump on like a Dominic King when I call people out on X, jump on and go, you can't say that. Yes, I can. Because I'm fucking right, Dom. Would you consider taking Elliott back in January? Well, it looks like we could be anyway, Peter. Yeah, it looks like that could be an option because he's still not getting game time. He's not looking likely to trigger whatever the amount of games is. It's been rumoured it's 10 before that deal would become cast iron at Villa. So yeah, for everyone's sake, it looks fairly possible that Elliott will back in January. Now, does that mean he's going to stay at Liverpool for the rest of the season? No. I think he'll probably be sold elsewhere. But I really do feel for the kid. Right, so what's priority number one? 90% of the 1,000 people that voted to the centre-back. Which is mad considering we're talking about wingers quite a bit. And you can see it. We all say centre-back. Regis here. I think the reason why Cody Gakpo is underperforming is because he knows there's no competition, unlike last year with Diaz. Mate, I've said that so many times in multiple areas of the pitch, Regis, and you're not wrong. It's natural and normal to get lackadaisical. You know, I'm going to make another one of my analogies now. So, when you're in the game and you're not settled down in a relationship or married, you're at the top of your game. You're watching your dress sense. You're taking care of yourself physically. And then you get married and you realise you can be a bit less vain, shall we say. This is kind of like that in a football perspective. You've got Salah with no competition. You've got Kanade with no competition. You've got Gakpo with no competition. And of course, it's possible that things slide or you let things slide when there's nobody tapping you on the shoulder and saying, I'm ready when you fuck up. When you shit the bed next time, bro, that's my shirt. You're going to get splinters in your arse because I'm coming for it. I'm coming for that jersey. There's none of that. And on top of that, to make it even more incredulous, there's no accountability for the underperforming. Heard Liverpool put an offer of £88 million for Bastoni as well. I seen last week, Jason, there was talk of a potential offer. I think what I read anyway, mate, said that if Liverpool were to make an offer for Bastoni, it would have to be at about €100 million, which is about the £88 million that you're saying. But I haven't seen anything to say Liverpool put that bid in. I think it was more being spoken about as a hypothetical number. Paul said, slot won't play Harvey, be like Chiesa. Same last year, Paul. I screamed last year, over and over again. Why is he putting players on a bench he's not playing? And last year, it was Elliott and it was Chiesa. This year, it's Rio and it's Chiesa. Gerrard Kelly said, you're right, I also feel they came into the season with a sense of arrogance, like we were the champs, we're good. So you know what? I've got to say, Gerrard, I'm guilty of that as a fan. I'm definitely guilty of that, mate. I came into this season with almost a sense of entitlement about winning a league trophy again because of what we did in the summer. So, I'll put my hands up and say I was a fan in the summer who thought that this season was going to be somewhat of a formality because of the quality we brought in. And look, dare I say, I don't think I was on my own. But reality's hit hard and fast. Craig, have you seen the Megamind meme of Slot turning into Ten Hag? Look, I understand all those Dutch comparisons with managers and all this stuff, but ultimately, it's the numbers for me that do it. It's the 40% of losses. It's the 12th in the table. -2 goal difference. 9 set-piece goals conceded. 3-0 back-to-back in the league. All of these things are unacceptable at a club like Liverpool. And it feels like rather than admit they made a mistake, the club want to hope this turns around. And I think it is hope at this point. Because there's nothing in the underlying numbers that are going to show that we're turning a corner. And for a club that boasts loudly of being data driven, where is the data to show that this is going in the right direction? Where is the data to say that the desire of anything for Arnold to succeed now is anything other than hope? Because there's nothing showing that it's happening. So it's easy to be praised when things are going well. It's easy to win a league title and have a bus parade. It's easy to be voted PFA Player of the Year and have all the accolades of people blowing smoke up your arse. But when the chips are down, when the shit hits the fan, when times are really fucking tough, where are you? You either stand up or you shrink. And in the last 9 years, these lads have never shrunk. They've stood up. But right now, I feel, just me, that they ain't playing for this manager anymore. That something's gone wrong. Something feels rotten at the minute. Whether it's a clash of egos, because let's remember, a few weeks ago, there was quite a bit of talk in the media about forwards wanting to be the man. Too many alphas on the pitch. And we all like to believe that Liverpool wouldn't bring in anybody that would have this ego. But Salah ain't passing the ball to Wirtz when he's wide open. And it ain't gelling. So something stinks. But we can only guess because we're not inside that dressing room. Wardy said, I blame our fans for constantly reminding the players about Jota. Mate, That's an excuse. And it's, in my opinion, and I'm not having to go with you here, mate, sorry, but anybody who's trying to throw out the Jota stuff now as the reason, it's a cowardly thing to say. It's a horrible thing to say. I hate it. Because why is it when you're losing, it's affecting the players? When you're winning, they're inspired by the idea of doing it in his memory. I think it's disrespectful to Diogo's memory to talk about this being the reason why. Because that's not right. That's just an excuse. It happened. It was horrible. The players have been through a lot. But like I keep saying, if you're struggling, speak up, put yourself forward. If you're struggling and saying nothing, that's a problem. So, again, nobody's taking command of the situation. Because as a human being, bro, I promise you, if Mohamed Salah came out tomorrow and said, I'm still struggling, I can't get my head around Diogo being gone, I need a step back. I don't know anybody who would say anything other than, understand, Mo. You go get the help you need. The club will support you. The fans will support you. We'll all be here when you're ready. But they're not doing that. Nobody's communicated that. And it wasn't being spoken about when you won the first 5 games of the season. So now it's a lazy excuse to just say it's because of Diogo. And I find that disrespectful to his memory and just him as a person who wouldn't give up and wouldn't have just accepted this. Peter said, start giving game time to Bajcetic, a proper DM. I wouldn't mind seeing some of him, but knowing Arne as we kind of do, he's big on people having a pre-season and being up to speed, and I just don't think it's likely Bajcetic will get that because he had no pre-season at all, and he's had no football really, even no competitive football really of any time over the last few months. I'm 100%, but I'm also sure Robbo asked for the fans to stop singing in the 20th minute. I don't think he has, Wardy, because I promise you, if the players said that, you know the fans, mate, they'd absolutely listen to the players. And look, I'm not saying it isn't an issue, by the way, Wardy. I'm not, because I don't know. I can't tell you whether the players are feeling impacted by the song or not. But if it was communicated to the stadium, the fans, the COP, the supporters groups, of course they'd listen. Of course. They'd be very respectful of the players and their feelings. Alejandro said, morning, Diogo was a real thing, but this situation is a byproduct of Slot not trusting our extended squad and players with new signings are ready to crack on. Of course, yeah, I agree it's a real thing, mate. And like I've said, if anybody needs time away, help, support, I think everybody would understand it. But that's not happening either. So I just don't think using it as an excuse now holds much water, excuse me. TM Tmilis 87 said, the scary thing, Craig, is most of our top players are not underperforming an international break. I know it's a different competition, but it shows not form except for Isak, who's not fit. That's fair enough. Like, it just feels to me like something's not right in the dressing room at the minute. It just feels like something doesn't smell right. Because everything isn't painting a rosy picture. And I don't know. It just doesn't look like there's the same chemistry there. Now, of course, you build chemistry in relationships, but there's no signs of it happening. A lot of this is on the players, Craig. Surely if Slot has lost the change room, this doesn't explain the cliff edge. Look, I absolutely agree, bro. The players are not without fault here. But unfortunately, dude, we know the way football works. Player power wins all the time. So if the players aren't buying into the tactics or his words aren't having the desired impact for whatever reason, there's only going to be one outcome there, and that'll be the manager gets moved on. Now, after that, I would say those same players need to be filtered out and removed bit by bit, because a harmonious changing room where everybody buys in, you have to buy in. You have to go out there, like Oxlade-Chamberlain said, to go to war. You have to buy in. You have to go out there to do the hard yards, to know that the person to your left and to your right will do the same for you. You have to, or it's not going to work. You have to buy into the manager's methods. You have to give it 100%. And you have to believe that the fella standing next to you is going to do the same. And if you don't, if you think somebody's underperforming and not being held to account, that's not going to sit well. And we are seeing favouritism. And we are seeing players not being held to account. Blaming a recent form of the Ogo is an insult to his memory. Yes, it is. I just... You know what? To be fair to the players and the manager, I don't think they're using it as an excuse. I don't. I think some fans just want to find an explanation as to why we've fallen off a cliff. And some fans want to think the best of people. And that's very admirable. But it isn't just that. It isn't just that. Like, as many people have said to me, footballers as well as us often say that football's their release. They go out there on the pitch and they forget about relationship issues or their kid being sick or whatever it might be. You know, all the problems that everybody has. You go out there, you play, and that's your escape. That's your release. That's what you love. At the minute, it doesn't look like there's much enjoyment happening or much sweet relief for anyone. Fans, players, manager. How much is the drop off due to hiding or leaving? Yeah, Adam, it's a very fair and thank you for the kind words. It's a very fair question, dude, and it's one again I'd love to know the answer to, because we talked in the summer about so many things, a lot of changes in the playing staff, but we didn't really measure the impact of losing Johnny Heidinger. There was a piece the other day as well that said the Giovanni van Bronckhorst is being linked with, I think it was the Indonesia national team job. So you'd hope that if there's any possibility of bringing in Heidinger, if he was a huge force in the dressing room, that could be revisited. And look, I want to give Johnny Heidinger a lot of credit because he had opportunities to leave during his reign with Liverpool, but he wanted to see out the season, and fair play to him for that, because he was certainly being spoken highly of for the work he was doing at Liverpool, and you could see again he was really involved in it. So yeah, I don't know how much of a loss it was, but certainly another factor worth considering. I think the media drum things up as well. Definitely. Oh, mate, no surer thing. Vultures smell blood in the water and they go for it. Absolutely. It's like, that's why I'm so wound up at the Nevilles of this world, coming out with all the criticisms, laying all the reasons out that things aren't right, and then just throw in that little line about not sacking the manager. As if everything that came before that is suddenly better. The only outcome, the way things are, is to sack the manager. Unless he starts turning it around, like literally immediately. Because we all said before the Forest game that the run of fixtures was favourable and that the comeback has to start now, right? And then we get beaten 3-0. And now we're kicking the can down the road a little bit, saying, well, the run has to start now. Like, now is the real now, where now starts now. And if it's not now, it couldn't have been then, it has to be now. So what if we don't win against West Ham, or we don't win against PSV Eindhoven? Are we going to kick the can down the road another few weeks and say, well, now is the real now. So it has to start now. For me, back-to-back 3-0 defeats and the manner at which we fell apart, it's just clear that something's wrong. Peter, this season, most of our throw-ins are backwards. The amount of backwards passes are insane. Just tells you something about the mentality. Yeah, and I say it, mate, every watch-along. We get into the opponent's half, we'll have a throw-in near the corner flag, and within 15 seconds, we're suddenly back down with the goalkeeper and trying to build out again, and we're going side to side across the back line. It's insanity, man. And it's just, again, a symptom of a lack of confidence. I've heard rumours of Klopp return after Christmas. I don't think he'd come back, Wardy, mate. I think we'd all love Jurgen to come back, but I honestly don't think he would. For the reasons he left, I mean, like, I'm not trying to say he doesn't care about Liverpool. He clearly does. But I think he made his mind up, and, I don't think he'll go back on that. Now, he may manage Germany at some point, but I don't think he'll return to Liverpool, unfortunately, in a managerial capacity. Right, I'm going to say goodnight and thank you for putting up with me this evening. Tomorrow, it's match day. We'll put the manager talk to one side. We'll forget about the problems and we'll try and enjoy the game. And we'll hope that the lads can put in a good performance and get the win that will kick us in to the top 8 in the Champions League, and hopefully the start with something better, because that's what we all want. We all want this to turn around. We all want it to get better, but we have to see some signs of it, and hopefully that starts tomorrow. So look, thank you all. Have a lovely evening, and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. If you can, before you head off, do hit that like button for me, and appreciate you dropping in tonight on another emotional one.